Former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg rallied against redistricting in his home state of Indiana last night as pressure grows on Republican state lawmakers to redraw congressional maps there. Buttigieg, who's the former Democratic mayor of South Bend, Indiana, and a potential candidate in the 2028 presidential election, accused GOP lawmakers of cheating, as the proposed maps would likely eliminate Democratic seats in the U.S. House of Representatives.
They are being pressured to change the rules so that voters don't have a say anymore, and they know that that is wrong. And we know why they're doing it, which is because the agenda of Washington Republicans is so unpopular that even here in Indiana, they are afraid of losing if they have to run on a fair map.
So far, Republicans in Indiana have been hesitant to redistrict, but they've been discussing a plan to further carve up Democratic areas. Out of the state's 9 congressional districts, only 2 are held by Democrats right now. Republican Governor Mike Braun says a special session on redistricting could happen soon. Meanwhile, Republican Senator Jim Banks of Indiana suggested to Politico that the map should be redrawn in light of conservative activist Charlie Kirk's death, saying, quote, "They killed Charlie. The least we can do is redistrict Indiana into a 9-0 map." Similar redistricting efforts are underway in several other states, including California and Missouri. This as Republicans in Texas have already approved new congressional maps there. I want to bring in now Democratic Congressman Greg Stanton of Arizona. So, Congressman, even though your state has no plans to redistrict, this impacts you in your role as someone who's in leadership in the New Dem caucus because it affects the way that you look at the map coming up in the midterms. I mean, what do you see in these efforts? To me, since we started covering this story in Texas, it's always been so baldly political in a way that we always do redistricting with politics in mind. But this just feels different because they're doing it midstream, mid-calendar.
Yeah, they're trying to rig the system to gain some short-term advantage because their agenda is incredibly unpopular. The tariffs are raising prices on middle-class and working-class Americans. Mass deportation is massively underwater. The One Big Beautiful Bill, their signature piece of legislation, way underwater with the American people. Their agenda is very unpopular, so they feel they have to rig the system in order to have a chance of winning this election. The group that I'm in leadership in, called the New Dems, I'm their political chair, the chair of their political action committee. We're going to run great candidates around the country in the most competitive seats, including in Trump districts, and we're going to do well because their agenda is so unpopular with the American people, and we're going to win the majority in this election.
Yeah, you've got Democrats who've been able to win in Trump seats before, and I think the formula for them has always looked different than some of the more progressive members. It's usually the members in New Dems that I would look to on Capitol Hill around shutdown season to see if there's any unease or concern with the strategy of not providing votes to avoid a government shutdown. The dirty secret on the Hill is that some Republicans never vote for continuing resolutions, and Republicans need Democrats to come along. In this instance, there really does seem like both parties are talking past each other. Republicans are not bringing Democrats to the table. So is the government going to shut down?
Well, any potential shutdown is still almost 2 weeks away. So it's, I think, premature to talk about a shutdown. What we should be talking about is reaching a bipartisan agreement, as you have accurately described. Republicans are in charge of the House in terms of they're in the majority of the Senate, the majority in the, obviously, the White House as well. You got the president in the White House, President Trump. But the only way to get things done is in a bipartisan way. And so, yes, they should come to the table. We should be working together in a bipartisan way. Obviously, our priorities is to protect health care in the very near future. If we don't pass support for the Affordable Care Act, people's premiums are going to skyrocket. 4 million people will be kicked off of the exchanges because of the inability to afford it. For 20 million Americans, their premiums are going to almost double. So the priorities for the New Dems and all of the Democrats, both in the House and the Senate, is to support the American people, lower costs, and protect health care.
I think what's different about this shutdown period is we are watching Democrats detail what they need in order to be a willing partner in these negotiations, making health care the litmus test. Very quickly, because there's one more topic I want to get you on, but do you have confidence that Chuck Schumer will be able to keep his members in line? Because the House did what its plan was last time a government shutdown was on the table. Do you have confidence?
Yeah, look, I don't want, the politics of the Senate is a mystery to all of us, to be perfectly honest. I know in the House, and I think our Leader Jeffries and Senator Schumer are working together, but it's not really a political strategy. It's what our values are, and our values consumers, are lowering costs, protecting health care for the American people. We're offering that to the Republicans. Ironically, if they come to the table and do an agreement with us, it will help them politically. So we're offering something that is in line with what the priorities of the American people are, and we should have these true bipartisan negotiations, so hope springs eternal.
Hope springs eternal, but we'll see what we see. One thing I want to get you on, because it's a weekend, folks might be taken to the air as they do some weekend travel. You led a letter of 77 of your Democratic colleagues to the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, saying that he should reverse course on reversing a Biden-era rule that basically gave greater protections to airline passengers. What's this about for folks who might have missed it?
Well, we had put rules in place that if you are an airline passenger and your flight gets canceled or long delays through no fault of your own and not due to weather, you should be compensated for it. They should pay for your hotel room, pay for meals, pay for the inconvenience. It's a very common sense consumer protection rule, and we want that to continue. It's just common sense is what the American people demand. It's fair for the American people, and I do not know why they undid that rule, providing less protection for American consumers. We are always going to stand on the side of American consumers against large businesses that may want to take advantage of them. People deserve to be appropriately compensated when they are harmed through no fault of their own.
Yeah, and it does feel sometimes like when you're flying the airlines, you just have no recourse. It's an interesting effort. We'll see if it goes anywhere. Democratic Congressman Greg Stanton of Arizona, I want to thank you for coming on and starting your early day with us. And still ahead, we're going to go live to CNBC for an early look at what's driving the day on Wall Street after the market rallied to all-time highs. Plus, NVIDIA is set to take a $5 billion stake in its rival Intel. We'll dig into that announcement and the impact this could have on the tech industry when Way Too Early returns.